Hi, I am Ashok Kalshala, Assistant Professor of Chemistry, Kakatiya Government College, Hanamkonda District, Warangal Urban District, Telangana State, India. Today we are going to discuss in this session stereoisomerism. This is the second session in stereoisomerism. In the first session, we discussed about the geometrical isomerism. In this session, we are going to discuss about optical isomerism. Let us see what is a stereoisomerism. The stereoisomerism is nothing but isomers are molecules that have the same molecular formula but have a different arrangement of the atoms in space that excludes any different arrangements which are simply due to molecule rotating as a whole. The rotating about particular bonds where the atoms making up the various isomers are joined up in a different order. This is known as structural isomerism. Structural isomerism is not a form of stereoisomerism, which involve the atoms of the complex bonded in the same order, but in different spatial arrangement. Optical isomerism is one form of stereoisomerism. Geometric isomers are the second. See, in the the stereoisomerism can be broadly classified into the three categories. The first one is the geometrical isomerism. Second one is the optical isomerism. Third one we can say that will be the conformational isomerism. Then in the previous session we discussed about this geometrical isomerism. And now this session we're going to discuss about optical isomerism. We're going to discuss in optical isomerism. What is optical isomerism and what is optical activity? What are the conditions required for the optical activity? Which type of compounds will undergo optical optical isomerism? Let us discuss one by one. Let us see what is actually the optical activity. What is the origin of optical isomers? We know that ordinary lights are composed of rays of different wavelengths vibrating in all directions perpendicular to the path of its propagation. These vibrations can be made to occur in a single plane by passing ordinary light through the polarizing Nicol prism. Such light whose vibrations occur in only one plane is called plane polarized light. You can observe here, this is into normal light where the light passes in all directions. When it is passed through a Nicol prism, then all the lights are cut off and only one wavelength of light having the only one direction, either up or down, will be what I mean is sorted, and it is passed through the Nicol prism. Now this light is called a plane polarized light. This is called as a polarizer, this is called as an analyzer. Now here, then this plane polarized light when passed through the sample, here the sample is kept in this sample tube, where then when it is passed, then the light, that plane polarized light, when it is shifted or turned to the right or left, this compound is said to be the optical isomer. Otherwise, it is a non-optical. Then it is turned and the viewer can view whether this will be turned to the right or left. Compounds which rotate the plane polarized light are called optically active compounds. And this property is known as optical activity. Rotation of plane of polarized light can be of two types. One is said to be the dextrorotatory. If the compound rotates the plane of polarized light to the right, that is called clockwise direction, it is said to be a dextrorotatory form. In the Latin, the dexter means right and is generally denoted by either plus sign or with a D. The next one is said to be the levorotatory. If the compound rotates the plane polarized light to the left, that is called anti-clockwise. It is said to be the levo-rotated. In Latin, levus means left and is denoted by either minus or with the L sign. Now let us see the other one. The change in the angle of plane polarized light is known as optical rotation. That means how much angle that that is rotated by a sample and is known as its optical rotation. The optical rotation is detected and measured by an instrument called polarimeter. This is what is called as the polarimeter. And you can say that is called as the this is called polarimeter, and here the rotation by an angle is called optical rotation. The measurement of optical active is reported in terms of specific rotation, and that is it is indicated with alpha, which is given as that is alpha rotation. That is our rotation is given as lambda t equal to alpha by L by C LC. What is alpha means specific rotation, that is this is what is optical rotation, where T is the temperature of measurement and where lambda is the wavelength of light used and alpha is the observed angle of rotation, and L means the length of sample tube in diameter, where the C is the concentration of the sample in gram per ml. In this way, it can be rotated, it can be that is the specific rotation alpha can be calculated by using this equation. Now let us see the other one. The examples of organic optical active isomers contain a carbon atom joined to four different groups. These two models each have the same groups joined to the central carbon atom, but still manage to be different. See, these are the four different groups. There's a center one is what you say. This is going to be the carbon, and these are the different groups. Here also these are the different. Then what is the difference between these two? Here the orange one is this side and orange one is this side. That is they are different sides, but still manage to be different. But it is looks same. All the groups are same around it, but here the arrangement, the spatial arrangement is different. Obviously, as they are drawn, the orange and blue groups are not aligned in the same way. Could you get them to align by rotating one of the molecules? The next diagram shows what happens if you rotate the molecule with this B. See what happens? The molecule when rotated, that is going to the back side, that is here the pink color ball is front side, that is viewer side, this is away the viewer side. See, this is come to the viewer side here and here like this. And see, that means even though there are four or different groups, but they are not similar one. Now let us see the other one. They still are not same, and there is no way that you can rotate them so that they look exactly the same. These are isomers of each other. They are described as being non-superimposable in the sense that if you imagine a molecule B being turned into a ghostly version of itself, you could not slide one molecule exactly over the other one. Something would always be pointing in the wrong direction. And you can see that is again you can observe, assume that this entire one, so let us take this entire one, assume that it is placed on this one. See, it is placed. What happens? No doubt green and green will be what I mean to say, but here the blue is away from the viewer, whereas here blue is towards the viewer. Similarly here, orange is away from the viewer here, whereas here this orange will be viewer side. Similarly, the pink here viewer side, here away the viewer side. That means this, if this is as you imagine that this is when kept on this one, it's not possible to superimpose. And that's what is said to be the what we discussed now. They still are not same. They are they would be pointing in the wrong direction. Now let us see what happens if the two groups attached to the central carbon atom are the same. The next diagram shows this one. See, suppose these are the two same, and the next diagram is this is one, and this is A and B. If you see this one, the same it have. Now let us see what is this one. The two models are aligned exactly as before, but the orange group has been replaced by another pink one. Rotating molecule B this time shows that it exactly the same as say as a molecule. A molecule A, you only get optical isomers if all groups attached to the central carbon atom are different. See once again this, look this side, when it is C, then this side, this and this will be same. That's why there is no possibility of the difference between these two. Now let us see other one. See this is one, they are looks same. When it is rotated, B is rotated. Previously in the B, these two are this side. When it is rotated this side, and this looks same. Now, the essential difference between the two examples we looked at lies in the symmetry of the molecule. If there are two groups, the same attached to the central carbon atom, the molecule has a plane of symmetry. If you imagine slicing through the molecule, the left hand side is an exact reflection of the right hand side. Where there are four groups are attached, there is no symmetry anywhere in the molecule. You can observe. See, suppose and imagine a plane bisect the molecule into two groups. See, when it is two groups are same, then it is similar to this one. That means these two halves are identical. Whereas here it is not possible. Why? Because this group and this group are different. Therefore, it is not possible to cut into the two equal halves. And that's why it has no plane of symmetry. It has a plane of symmetry. What is mean by a chiral? The word chiral, Greek word, chiar meaning hand, is used for those objects which have right-handed and left-handed forms. That is, molecules which have handedness, and the general property of the handedness is termed as chirality. An object which is not superimposable upon its mirror image is called chiral one. This is the two hands you can see, and you can see these are two hands. Suppose these two hands when placed one after one over the other, and you can observe that there is no that is the identical fingers are not what I meant to say, not superimposed, and this is called as the handedness, and the general property of the handedness is termed as chirality. See, this is going to be the right hand, this is going to be the left hand, so that it is a mirror image of that is right hand is a mirror image of the left hand. Similarly here, when a carbonate is taken, you can have x, y, w, x, y, z. This here, when it is shown in the mirror, you'll get the x, y this side and w, z this side. And this property of the molecule or this handedness is called as the what is called as a chiral or chirality. Object and molecules which are superimposable on their mirror images is a chiral. A chiral molecule has internal plane of symmetry, a hypothetical plane which bisects an object or a molecule into mirror reflective halves. An object or a molecule with an internal plane of symmetry is said to be the achiral. Chiral means it should not have the plane of symmetry. Achiral means When a molecule can bisect into two equal halves, that is called a chiral molecule. Then you can see this one. See, this is a butterfly, a beautiful butterfly. Then if you observe, when you keep a plane, here what happens, the image of this butterfly is very similar and identical to this one. Suppose you assume that this totally, what I mean to say, this totally, this every, let us take this entire one is, assume that this is entire one is kept on this one, so that everything will be similar, therefore they are said to be what you call it as the superimposable. Such a molecule or such a system is said to be the symmetry, and such a molecules or such a center is called as a chiral. Now let us see the other one. The what is meant by term asymmetric center and chiral center. Three terms are used to designate a carbon atom bonded tetrahedrally to four different substituents in a chiral molecule. Asymmetric atom, chiral center, or stereo center. That is asymmetric atom or chiral center or stereo center. Let us see what are these one. Now let us see this one. See, this is a chiral center. Why it is a chiral center? Because you see this, you can see this one, all this is a carbon, this is a central carbon atom, you know this is a carbon atom. This carbon is bonded to four different groups, A, B, C. It is not possible to bisect into two equal halves. That's why this center is called as what? Chiral center. This is what is chiral center. Now let us see other one is, let us understood chiral and achiral center taking few more examples. Let us see this one. See, this molecule, if you observe, there are the four different groups are there. You can see there are four different groups are there. Methyl, chloride, bromide, and hydrogen. These four different groups are there. Therefore, we can say that this is a chiral. What do you say? This is a chiral center has four different atoms are bonded to the carbon. Now let us see the other one. This is what happens. The methyl group is there, hydrogen, bromine, and hydrogen. So that here what happens, it is not chiral center. Why? Because the four are not different. This can be bisects into, what I mean to say, into two equal halves. How does? Like this. You can bisect this one. See, like this, if it is bisect like this, what happens? It cut into the two equal halves. Now that's why it is not a chiral, it is a chiral, does not have four different atoms bonded to the carbon atom. Now let us see this one. Here again, you can have the, what I mean to say here, four different groups, methyl, propyl, ethyl, and hydrogen. And this center carbon is bonded to the, what we say, four, it is bonded to the four different groups. That's why you can say it is a chiral, has four different groups and bonded to the carbon atom. Now let us take this one. This what is going to be the, you can observe here, the carbon atom, the first condition, the carbon must be a tetrahedral one and bonded to the four different groups. But here, you can observe here, it is not a tetrahedral, it is undergone sp2 hybridization, this carbon, the center carbon. Therefore, there is no question of the chiral center. But still it is asymmetric. That is not, it is not possible to cut into the two equal halves in any way. Suppose if you cut like this, it cannot be cut into the two equal halves. This side is hydrogen and this side is nickel. That's why this is, even though it is, what I meant to say, it is asymmetric but not a chiral center. Such a compounds are said to be the achiral, has three bonded atoms, and it is still, it is a, even though it is a chiral, it is asymmetric one. Now let us see what is meant by the similar, the chirality. Now here it is a two chiral centers here. This is one chiral center. Why? This is one group, you know. This is going to be the one group for around this one. This is the second one, and this is going to be the third one. And this is going to be the another group for the to this towards this. That's why this carbon atom, the center carbon atom, is what you can say, it is attached to the four different groups. Now let us see the other one is said to be the, see first let us see this, removing them here so that you can have this another one. Now let us go for the another one is said to be the, so if you take this carbon atom, if you take this carbon, this is one type of group, this is another type of group, this is another type of group, and this entire is said to be the another type of group. In this way, this carbon also a chiral center, and this compound will have the two chiral centers. This compound will have the two chiral centers. And let us see the other one is, and what about this one? This has the three chiral centers similar to this one. Here this carbon has this 1, 2, 3, and this is entire one. And this carbon is 1, 2, and this is one type, and this is another type. And similar to this, this is 1, 2, and this is 3, and this is entire one. In this way, this compound has three chiral centers, and this is chiral, and this is also chiral. Now let us go for the another term, what is meant by stereogenic center or stereo center. A stereogenic center is defined as an atom on which an interchange of any two atoms or groups result in a new stereoisomer. When the new stereoisomer is an enantiomer, that stereo center is called chiral center. All stereo centers are not tetrahedral. First and second are enantiomers and non-superimposable. This is, you see, this is one compound. This is stereo center 1. When it is interconverted, interchange between the groups, which groups? It is going to be the H and OH, these two. And then what happens? You'll get, and this you're going to get. And OH is this side and H is this side. First and second are enantiomers. These are called as the enantiomers. This is stereo center 1 and this is stereoisomer 2. And here that is, it is formed due to the interchange between these two groups. That means such a center, this one, such a center which gives another by, that is by interchanging, if it gives another isomer, and such center is called as the stereogenic center or stereo center. Then let us see one more thing. Now here, this is a cis isomer when interchange between the two groups between H and CH3, H and CH3 like this. Then what happens? You see, H and CH3, this CH3 is same, and here H and CH3 is interchanged. Then here also you'll get the new stereoisomer. But you remember, this is not a chiral. The above are not enantiomers. They are said to be the diastereomers. Hence, in this case, stereo centers are not chiral centers. This is not chiral center. But even though these are stereo centers, also these are not tetrahedral. Let us see. Thus, all chiral centers are stereo centers, but all stereo centers are not chiral centers. If a molecule contains only one chiral center, it must be a chiral. Molecule containing two or more chiral centers may or may not be chiral. For example, mesotartaric acid has two chiral centers, but it is a chiral. Let us see this one. Why it is a chiral? Because this is having an internal plane of symmetry. Now this half exactly equal to this half. That's why even though it is having two, what I mean to say, stereo, that is a chiral center. This is one, but it is not what I mean to say a chiral molecule. A chiral due to the presence of plane of symmetry. Now let us see what is the other one is said to be the chiral and achiral molecules. A molecule which has no plane of symmetry is described as chiral. The carbon atom which the four different groups attached, which causes this lack of symmetry, is described as a chiral center or as an asymmetric carbon atom. The molecule on the left above with a plane of symmetry is described as a chiral, and only chiral molecules have optical isomers. One of what is the relationship between the enantiomers? One of the enantiomer is simply a non-superimposable mirror image of the other one. In other words, if one isomer is looked in a mirror, what it would see is the other one. The two isomers, the original one and its mirror image, have different spatial arrangement and so cannot be superimposed on each other. See this one. Imagine this one, this compound, you can see this one. See, this is the one compound and it is its mirror image. Assume that this entire compound is placed over on this compound. Okay. The green will be coincide, there is no doubt. But here it is blue, here it is orange. Therefore, arrange it when it is placed here, this will not be superimposable. That's why these are called non-superimposable mirror images. These are said to be the non-superimposable mirror images. Now, what is the same will continue. If a chiral molecule on with a plane of symmetry looked in a mirror image, you would always find that by rotating the image in space, you could make the two look identical. It would be possible to superimpose the original molecule on its mirror image. See this molecule. The same asymmetric carbon atom is a compound. In a compound, the one with four different groups attached is often shown by a star. See this one. This is an asymmetric center. Methyl group, and OH and hydrogen is there. It's extremely important to draw the isomers correctly. Draw one of them using a standard bond notation as shown the three-dimensional arrangement and around the asymmetric carbon atom. Then draw the mirror image. Then draw the mirror to show the examiner that you know what you are doing. And then the mirror image. See this one. See how it was drawn. Here it is OH like this, and this is the methyl group. Here it is, this is methyl group. While drawing this, you have to remember the mirror images, keep a plane, and then draw hydrogen, and that's why it is a hydrogen. Methyl this side, therefore methyl this side. This is the two are said to be the mirror images of isobutanol. Now let us see the other one is said to be the notice that you don't literally draw the mirror images of all the letters and numbers. It is, however, quite useful to reverse large groups look. For example, at the ethyl group at the top of the diagram, it does not matter in the least in what order you draw the four groups around the central atom. As long as your mirror image is drawn accurately, you will be automatically have drawn the two isomers. So which of these two isomers plus butane 2-ol and which is minus butane 2-ol? There is no simple way to telling that for A level purposes. You can just ignore that problem. All you need to be able to do is to draw the two isomers correctly. Let us take one more. Let us take the one more example for optical isomerism. Once again, the chiral center is shown by a star here. This is what do you say? This is a lactic acid, and this lactic acid it is a what I meant to say chiral compound, and here the four different groups are attached to here. Now the two enantiomers are like this. How does you can draw? This is going to be the a compound and its mirror, and you have to draw like this. This is going to be the 2-hydroxypropanoic acid or lactic acid. COOH is this side, and first you draw the first molecule, then I put a plane or a mirror. Then while drawing, you take care about this compound. This side is COOH. Therefore, while drawing the second image, then you write this side is COOH. This side is CH3. Therefore, it is opposite side. You draw like this, and OH and H will be on the this side. It is important this time to draw the COH group backwards in the mirror image. If you don't, there is a good chance of you joining it on to the central carbon wrongly. See like this. This is on the back side. COH group attached incorrectly to the central carbon atom. If you draw like this, it is not attached properly. Like this. Here, hydrogen is bonded. No? Don't write like this. COH group incorrectly to the central carbon atom. Okay, in this way, we can discuss what is optical isomerism. In this session, we discussed about what is optical isomerism. It is important to note that this time you can draw this one. See, this is the same I told you. If you draw it like this in an exam, you will not get the mark for that isomer, even if you have drawn everything else perfectly. That means you must draw here, carbon is here. Okay, with this we can conclude our session. In this optical isomerism, or in this session, what we discussed is what is optical isomerism, what is the origin of the optical isomerism, what is a chiral center, what is a chiral molecule, stereogenic center, what is asymmetric carbons, etc. we discussed. I hope it was very useful to you. It is very useful to you. I think you understood the concepts in this session. And based on this concept, we're going to discuss in the next session, and optical isomerism is continued. What are the stereoisomers? What are the diastereoisomers? How to draw the structures in the different according to the Fisher projection formula, Newman projection formula, Saurs. Like this, we can discuss that is in the next session. I hope that you can follow this next session also. Then if you like this and if you understood clearly, share it and subscribe my channel, and thank you one and all. Oh, one more example is it. This is a typical of naturally occurring amino acids. Structurally, it is just like that last example, except the OH group is there. So this is going to be the alanine 2-aminopropanoic acid, and this is this is going to be the chiral center having 3-1. And you remember the other one, the 2 enantiomers. See, these are the 2 enantiomers. Write the, while drawing this one, you write C here like this, COOH, and here C must be bonded like this. And only one of these isomer occur naturally, plus form. You cannot tell just by looking at the structure which of this one. That is the experimental one. So thank you one and all. I hope you clearly understood. Share this link to the student community. Share this link to the student community so that it is useful. I hope you are understood this one. Again, we will meet in the next session. Thank you one and all.